So I am recording today's live because I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what my Thanksgiving week looks like. And the reason I wanted to do this is because it is one of the busiest times of year for most of us with the holidays. And it's really, really easy to kind of just let go of and lose all of our healthy habits if we have them, or not even try to create them if we don't, just because, it's the holidays. It's so easy to just kind of go with what we're used to, or maybe something that we've always done in the past and figure we'll pick it back up in January. And a couple of years ago, I decided I was no longer doing that. I was driving home from Buffalo, which is where I'm always coming from after the holidays. And at that point, we were driving because we were only a couple hours away. We were in Olean, and now I'm in Atlanta. So it's just a long flight home, but it's the same situation. And I remember just thinking for like this, it had been like several years in a row that I just felt horrible. It was like January 2nd, or I don't even know, maybe it was right after Christmas. And I remember just thinking that, like, I don't have to feel like this after the holidays. Like, I only enjoyed it to a certain point because of I had overconsumed so much and overindulged so much that it kind of took away from the experience. And at that point, I just kind of decided that I really didn't want to do that anymore. And I made some shifts going forward and that's really when some of the biggest pivots happened in kind of my health journey. And I started looking more into like the mindset and the thought work and kind of the psychology behind eating. So a lot of other things played into it, but I distinctly remember that moment when we were driving home and I was like, okay, I don't want to do this again. So at that point, what I was doing was really going from practicing either 100% of, like my healthy habits or healthy eating or zero. I didn't have a middle ground. I didn't really know how to bridge that gap. And after that point, I decided that I was going to figure out how to do that, which is really what I practice now. It's all about, if you guys have followed me for a little while, you hear me talk about this a lot. It's all about moderation, awareness, intentionality, and kind of incorporating all of that. So you're able to have the food, have the drinks, enjoy the experience, but also feel good at the end of the day. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today, and really kind of walk you guys through, if you're watching this whole thing, what my Thanksgiving week looks like. I'm going to be traveling. It's going to be just me and my daughter for part of it because my husband is actually already in Buffalo, and he is hanging out with some of his friends already. So I'm going to be super busy, just with Ava. I'm going to be doing some work while I'm heading up there. And then of course it's going to be the holidays. So that's crazy on its own. So I want to give you guys kind of an overview of what that looks like for me and kind of how I make it work. So hopefully you guys could maybe learn some of the things that I'm talking about and apply it in your own life. And I also wanted to talk about this a little bit because I've been drinking water this whole time, so I'll be pausing to do that, which is something I'll talk about. Because I have a challenge coming up from November 29th to December 3rd. It's a 5-day challenge, completely free. You can join right in my group. The link is actually, I believe, below this video if you guys are interested in learning more about that. And what it's going to be is actually breaking down what I'm talking about today a little bit more specifically, and having you actually start to implement and practice these in your daily life so you can kind of carry them throughout the entire holiday season. So really the overall goal is going into January that we're not just starting from scratch and working on getting on track, but we are just kind of honing in and focusing in when we get to that January 1st date versus starting all over. So that's really kind of the point of having the challenge early on, which, like I mentioned, November 29th to December 3rd, the link is below, just helping you start to incorporate some of those healthy habits so you can maintain them throughout the entire holiday season. Like I mentioned, I've been able to do. It's been super, super helpful for me, and I want to help you guys do that as well. So if you're interested in that, the link is below. Definitely encourage you to pop on in and check out the challenge. So today, all that to say, I'm going to be talking about I'm getting some message here on Facebook. No idea why or what this means, so I'm just going to ignore it and hope everything is fine. I'm going to talk about kind of what it all looks like for me. So number one, what I want to start with is some of the foundational pieces, and you have to want it. You have to want to make the change, or you have to want to do this going forward. That is like so key. You have to be fully committed and make that full decision, or it's likely not going to work. I always say if you give 50% effort, you give 50% commitment, you're going to get 50% results. If you're kind of like, I'm not sure what commitment I want to give, I'm not sure how much I want this, you're not going to be sure on what the results are going to be, and you may get done. So that's why I always encourage in the beginning, making sure it's something that you want to do. If it's not, that is like totally, totally okay. I know many, many people who, and I hear this all the time, like if you're totally fine, going a couple days or even one day on Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it is, just eating whatever, and it does not matter to you what it is or the amount because it's one day, that is totally, totally fine. I'm recording this video because I did that in the past. And I realized afterwards, as I shared with you guys earlier on, it did not work for me. I did not like that feeling after the fact, and it took away from my experience. So I learned that I really didn't want to do that anymore. Which is why I'm putting into practice some of these things and sharing them with you all. But you do not absolutely have to do these things, and you can still be healthy. You can still carry on with your goals, or maybe you can. It depends on you and what your lifestyle is like. But for me, that did not work. It just was not something I wanted to continue to do, which is why I started out with this. But number one is you really have to want it. It has to be something you're committed to and you're deciding to do, because there are going to be challenges that come up, and it's way easier to do the opposite. So that's the big piece to start off. The other thing is getting clear on what it is you want. Like at the end of the day, at the end of the month, after Christmas is over, after Thanksgiving is over, that night or that next morning, what do you want to feel like? What would you be so happy, so thrilled if you could say, I did this year, and it was different than any other year, or maybe it wasn't, but you were just so happy and proud of yourself that you were able to do this or accomplish this? What would that look like? For me specifically, it's carrying through with a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today. At the end of each week, whether that's Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's being able to say, I made my plan and I followed it. That is like key for me. So I encourage you guys to identify what is that for you at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the season, that you could say, this was huge. This year I was able to do this. Maybe it's feeling more in control. Maybe it's making sure that you are, not feeling overstuffed at the end of the night. Whatever it is for you, I highly encourage you to identify what that is so you can work towards it. That way you can work backwards from what the goal is and figure out what you need to do to get there. So I just saw a comment come through on Facebook. Not sure if it's on this video, so I'm just gonna ignore it. Because like I said, I'm still so not familiar with this new live setup. So sorry if someone's commenting on this. But then the next piece of it that's so important is your why. I talk about this a lot too. Why do you even care to do it? Why is it important to you to make this change? Your why has always has to be bigger than or greater than your why not. So for me, I share this a lot. My end goal, the end of the day, is to feel my best mentally, physically, and emotionally. I know what it's like when I don't. I know what it's like when I do. And I want to make more choices every single day, including holidays, that are going to leave me feeling better than those that do not. So like I shared in the very beginning, when I was sitting in that car on my ride home after the holidays that one year, I felt horrible. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it's just not fun. And it's taking away from the really great experience that I love. Christmas is like my favorite time of year. I love Thanksgiving because I do love food. But like after the fact, when you feel like garbage and you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, my clothes are tight, my stomach is bothering me, my skin is breaking out, it took away from the whole experience for me. So for me, that is my why. And it's what I focus on every single time I don't feel like doing something. My brain is going crazy and telling me to go forward and eat more and don't do this. I focus on that why because it's so strong for me. So the key piece with when you're trying to identify like what your driving factor is, your driving force, your reason behind what you do, is the key is it really needs to activate an emotion within you that is going to drive the action that you want. So for me, that right there drives motivation, it drives commitment, it drives focus. If there's something that's coming from a different place and it's not driving that feeling that is really going to push you to do the things that you want to do to get you where you want to go, then I would encourage trying to probe a little deeper, think a little bit more. What is the real reason you want to do this? And, even if you don't fully identify that in the beginning, because I definitely didn't know what mine was, I thought it was just getting to a certain weight. Definitely not the case. Keep going with your plan and you will figure it out. Just keep in mind that you really want to focus in on what is the driving factor behind what it is you want to do. And that applies to anything: health goals, relationship goals, career goals. Why do you really care? Trying to figure that out. So those are kind of some foundational pieces that I always like to mention. Really, this applies to any goal, but specifically for like my Thanksgiving week, for my holidays, when I'm looking at them and making a plan, I always run through those steps in my mind. And for me, a lot of them are the same, but sometimes they're a little bit different. And I encourage you guys to do that as well. So now I'm going to get into kind of the specifics of what my week looks like. And I'm going to take a drink of water because I need one. So I do a lot of coaching. Obviously, as you guys know, I do business coaching and also health coaching. So I'm so used to talking like back and forth with people. So it's so odd to be on a live video, especially on something that's similar to Zoom, because that's usually what I work on all day, with no one talking back at me. So it's just like I'm talking to myself, and it's so strange. But anyways, so kind of getting into the specifics. So something I start off, so say it's like the week is ahead of me, which it is. I'm actually flying out on Saturday to Buffalo, and then I'm there for a week, and then I fly back the following Saturday. So I kind of look at my week as a whole. Like, what do I have going on? What are the things that are immovable? I don't even know if that's a word, but so like Thanksgiving, I know I'm going to be cooking all day. I'm going to be with my family. That is pretty much set in stone. I look at the other things, activities that I have going on, whether this is when I'm on vacation or during a holiday week, whatever it may be, a really busy week with work and like Ava and family stuff. I look at the things that are immovable. So Thanksgiving, that's all day. I have dinner first night to get there on Saturday. So if any of my friends that are coming are watching this, yay, hi, I can't wait. So that's there. That's kind of a time block. I envision it like a calendar. And then I have another dinner that I think we're going to on Friday night. And then we have a couple little things throughout the week. So I look at those on my week, and I try to figure out how can I plan in my other healthy habits and the things that I want to incorporate while I'm there at times of the day that are going to be least likely to be interrupted. So one of those that is really, really key is workouts for me. I feel better, kind of going back to that why again. The more I work out, the more I move my body, I feel better throughout the week. So that way, when I go into Thanksgiving and I'm, eating foods that I don't normally eat, I still feel good overall. So it's like, it kind of brings that balance back into it, that moderation piece that I mentioned before. So I'm looking at my week and I'm seeing, okay, when can I fit in my goal of 4 workouts? Usually at home I do 5, but I'm like, I'm traveling and it's my holiday week and I'm like 4 workouts is great. That is my goal. I'm going to fit them in no matter what. I'm going to figure out when are those 4 times throughout the week that I can get those in, whether they're shorter, whether they're going to look different. Of course they are. And then I'm going to plan those in, whether that's in my mind or on an actual calendar, whatever works for you. I've done this so many times that I don't necessarily have to put it out into a calendar, but I highly recommend that if this is new to you. Use a Google Calendar, whatever it is, a planner, whatever it is that you look at, a notebook, whatever would work for you, and figure in when you're going to do those things before you get to that point. And make sure, biggest key thing here is when life comes your way and things change and everything gets crazy, that you swap days, you move them around versus deleting them. That is the big key piece, because I know I'm going to get to Buffalo and I'm going to plan a workout on. Right now I'm planning for Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the morning of Thanksgiving. Yes, that's right. I do plan to get up and get a workout in because I know it'll kick my day off. Start my day off right. And I'll just be in such a great mindset for the day to then do everything else. I know things are going to happen. My daughter's going to wake up early. I'm going to oversleep. Always happens. Who knows? Other things are going to happen, and I'm going to have to swap the days. Or you know what? I may have to have her come downstairs with me while I get in a quick workout and give her an iPad or something like that. So just making sure that when life happens, that you're going to need to pivot and be open to that. It always happens, but just making sure you swap those days or move it around versus deleting. That is really the key piece there. But for my workouts, like I said, I focus on 4. I have them planned right now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday in the mornings, because I know that is the time that's going to be least likely to get interrupted. They're going to be about 30 to 40 minutes. My sister and I are actually taking a boxing class on Thanksgiving. So I'm super, super excited about that because I haven't done one forever. She's actually just recently gotten into it. So I'm really, really excited to go with her. So that's another thing. If you can incorporate things that have to do with family, getting involved, whether that maybe that's like, we used to do the turkey trot in Buffalo. I don't know if that still exists in different areas, but things like that, or even like going for a walk or like trying out new things, they're going to likely keep you more motivated in holiday weeks and busy times like this. So definitely an option for you. So then the next one that is going to carry through my week is water. Sounds so silly, but I'm going to have this bottle or another water bottle with me all the time. Take a drink again. It's going to be annoying because I'm not going to want to carry it around with me. I'm going to forget because I'm going to be so distracted and doing a million things. So I'm going to have to really make a conscious effort to keep reminding myself to get the water. My sister has cups. She has water. I can just grab one from her fridge, but it's really going to take more of an effort when I'm there because I'm not in my regular routine. So it's something that I definitely want to keep incorporating because, again, goes back to my reason for doing this. I feel better overall. I'm going to be less bloated feeling, especially with traveling, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be drinking wine. It's going to help me feel better across the board. So that's just another piece that I'm going to be working in every single day. When I go out for coffee, which I absolutely will, maybe meeting some of you all, I'm going to be getting water with it. When I go out and have drinks, I'm going to be getting water with it. So something I'm going to just continue to work in. So here's another one that I highly encourage if you're traveling for sure, but even if you're home, it's holiday week. It's so easy to just skip your grocery shopping and think, oh, you know what, I'll get it later, or I'll get it all at once when I get my food items to plan for Thanksgiving or whatever it may be. I stick with my regular routine. Even though I will be at my sister's house, even though when we go to Disney for Christmas, which that's what we're doing, so that'll be really, really crazy fun and exciting. I'm gonna grocery shop. I will have Instacart, or I will go to the store on the Saturday that I get there by the evening. And you know what? Some of my family thinks I'm crazy, but I'm gonna have the food that I want to be eating throughout the week outside of the holidays and the things that we're doing. That way I'm not relying on anyone else's schedule or plans or what's in their fridge. I'm not eating, my daughter's leftovers because I have kind of like my regularly planned meals available to me when I want them. They won't be exactly the same by any means, but they will be close. So that's something that I always do. I've made a habit of doing that. Probably a couple of years ago, I started. At first, I was going and just kind of trying to make it work. And then I'm like, no, I'm just going to buy my normal food. I'm going to stock up her fridge and put some things in her pantry. So I am good to go. So that's really, really helpful for me. As soon as I get there, I will do that on Saturday. So then I have notes. I'm sure you guys are noticing I'm kind of looking off to the side because sometimes I forget these things. And the grocery shopping, that fits right into this next one. Over the holidays, on vacation, when I'm out of my routine, I try to keep 1 to 2 meals constant, similar to what I have at home throughout the week. So that looks like for me, a lot of times, you guys know I like my smoothies. I talk about these a lot. A lot of times in the morning, I start off with a green smoothie, and then or a breakfast that just follows the general meal template that I talk about a lot. Typically, if you're looking at a plate, it's like half a plate of vegetables, if at all possible. Sometimes breakfast, that's a little challenging, especially if you're not making it for yourself. A quarter of the plate is protein, and then a quarter is some type of starch. So that could be a starchy vegetable, fruit, a whole grain if you process them, if your body processes them well. And that could look like a variety of different things. I'm traveling Saturday. My daughter and I are leaving like literally at the crack of dawn. I don't even think the sun will be up yet. So I'm likely going to be eating at the airport. Maybe I'll bring something, but otherwise I'll probably get just a very simple oatmeal with berries and nuts. I'm not going to have vegetables, but it's going to cover a lot of those other categories. It's going to be one of the better options that is going to be available. So trying to eat very similar to how I do at home for at least 1 or 2 meals throughout the week. So on Thanksgiving, that's likely going to be my breakfast because the rest of the day we're probably going to be cooking and enjoying the foods that we're making. But then the rest of the week, unless I have 2 meals planned like out or something specific, I will keep very similar to how I eat at home. Now, there will be a couple of things that change. When I am at my sister's and doing a lot of things like this, I have dessert almost every night when I'm there. And I'm totally okay with that because I'm keeping everything else so similar to how I do at home. And one of the key pieces with this is our brain is crazy. It will try and make me think every single day that because I'm doing some of these other things, that I should just throw it all out the window. I should just forget all of it. But that's definitely not the case. And it does not have to be what happens. So once you can start to be aware of those thoughts and become conscious that that is just a thought that you're thinking and you don't actually have to act on it, it's much easier to continue on with your plan or to create a new one. So for me, especially after like the long day of holidays, so it's whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas Day, and you're having some of those more processed flours and sugars, your brain goes extra crazy. It's like, oh, you gave me this thing that feels really good. Give me more of it, more and more and more. And like, once you're aware of those, you can just be like, whoa, wait a second. I understand this is coming in and I'm getting this thought and this like temptation, but I don't have to act on it. And I'm deciding not to based on all of the other things I talked about. Going back to kind of your reason for doing this and all of those things, you can really focus in on that, kind of allow that like craziness to go on in your brain, but not take any action. I heard a while ago, and this was not a health related podcast, but it was on something else. The power is in the pause. So like when you hear those thoughts in your brain kind of buzzing around, like you need to do this, you need to eat this, you have to eat this right now. And it's like, you can just like stop and pause and step back for a second and like kind of listen to those things go on without doing anything and pause. That's where your power is. That's literally where all your power is, where you can regain control over some of our eating habits that sometimes, if we're not able to do that, kind of take control of us. And the goal here is to do literally the opposite. And these things are sometimes helpful with that. So that's kind of covering the 2 meals remaining the same per day. And then I dive into my mindful eating habits, which you guys have heard me talk about a lot, but these really, really, really come into play when it comes to holidays, being off your routine and being on vacation. They do not take any additional time. They don't take any additional effort. That's the best part about them. No additional money, nothing. If anything, they're going to save you time and effort and definitely mental energy, because you are doing things that, again, are helping you really feel better and be more intentional about every single thing you're doing. So you can make sure that you are maximizing your experience and your efforts and all of that. So I'm just going to run through a few of my mindful eating tips that I follow across the board every single day, next week, Thanksgiving week, holiday weeks, all the time. I try to follow these more often than not. Of course, there are times that, maybe I go a little too far with not doing some of them, but then I am able to kind of take a step back, whether it's the next day, later that night, and just identify, okay, what kind of happened there? Did I like it? What can I do differently next time? Because if I don't like the way that I'm feeling. So that's really the key piece, and not beating yourself up over it and kind of going in that downward spiral. Just kind of taking a step back again and just being like, well, what happened here? How can I shift things, take this as feedback, and like make a modification for next time? So just to run through a couple of my mindful eating tips that, like I said, I try to practice all the time. I'm just seeing which one I should mention first. I kind of mentioned one of these, but the biggest one, if you literally take anything away from what I talk about this week or during my challenge next week, the link is below. Just kind of plug that again, is paying attention to what you're eating, what you're doing all day long, and making sure that you want to be doing it. Making sure it's an intentional choice. That is literally the biggest thing when it comes to holidays, because I cannot tell you how many times in the past, and even still, I catch myself doing it sometimes, and I catch myself doing it in other areas than health. You walk into a room and everyone is eating or drinking. Everyone's eating chips off the table, everyone's drinking, and you're just like, oh, I'm at a party. Okay, that's what we do. You go get a drink, you start eating chips, and you're just like a half hour later, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Like, what was I eating? Why was I eating that? Why was I doing that? So the practice of just remaining aware and paying attention to everything you're doing and just what you're putting into your mouth, and questioning, do I really want it there? Do I really want to be eating this? And like, why am I doing it? Am I doing it because I'm bored? Am I doing it because this situation is uncomfortable? Am I doing it because I don't know what to do with my hands, which I know I've caught myself doing many, many times? Am I doing it because I've been out for several hours and like, I don't know what else to do but order another drink? I don't know what else to do but eat more chips. Like, making sure that you're checking in with yourself and you're like, okay, I'm putting these things in my mouth. Do I want to be doing it? And do I like my reason for doing it? If you guys take away nothing else, that is a hugely, hugely helpful piece, especially when you're approaching, family events, holiday parties, things that are all throughout the holiday season. Many times we walk into a room and there's a platter of cookies. Everyone else is eating cookie. We just pick up a cookie and eat it. We literally don't even think about if we want to eat that cookie. So that's like huge, huge, huge. My number one mindful eating tip there. And then the other ones are pretty basic, pretty standard that I've talked about a lot of times, but so many times we forget to do them. And one is eating to the point where you're 80% full, you're content. So it's it's like slowing down, being aware of how you feel. And when you're like, okay, I feel good. I was able to experience all of these foods. They tasted great. Now I'm kind of done. But then our brain is like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. But at a certain point, more is just that. It's just more, and it's not better. When you've already had 2 cookies and they tasted amazing, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are not any better. They actually probably start to wear their excitement starts to wear off a little bit. I know it does for me. And for some reason, my brain, if I'm watching it, is like, oh, but that next one's going to be better. But that next one's going to taste a little different. Never the case. So definitely want to caution you guys when it comes to that. Check in with yourself. When you're 80% full, you feel like you're good. Do you really want to go and have that other serving? And always ask yourself, do you really want to do that? And maybe take a break. Pause. I even do this with my daughter all the time. She asks me for a second plate of something when she still has her first one. And I'm like, why don't we eat what we have first? And then we can evaluate how your body feels and if you want more food. And I will tell you 90% of the time she comes back and says, I'm done. Because she doesn't want any more. She's just thinking ahead, like, oh, more, I need more, I need more, I need more. Your brain gets that, I think it's dopamine hit. And it's like, okay, I just need more of this. So that's the big one too. And then huge with holiday parties, and I'm going to be doing this all day at Thanksgiving. I will be doing it at Christmas. I try to do when I go out to restaurants, especially with like chips at a table or appetizers, plating your food before your first bite. You don't have to portion things out by counting. You don't, unless you want to do that, but it's more making that intentional decision of what you want to eat when it comes to like the platters of food that are everywhere, the appetizers, the chips, the bowls of chips, the this and that is out in front of you everywhere. Literally deciding like, okay, I want this bowl of chips. I'm going to put it in front of me and I'm going to eat this. I'm going to enjoy it, and then making that intentional decision to go back for more. It really just slows you down, and again, just makes you focus in on deciding if that's actually what you want to do. Because so many times we don't actually take that power and decide and make a choice. What do we want to eat? What do we want to do? What do we want to drink? We just kind of go with what's happening. We're just like kind of let it all happen, and then 6 hours later, we're like, oh my gosh, like, how did that happen? Like the chocolate cake ended up in my mouth. I have no idea what happened. Or like 3 pieces of it did, and we don't know what happened. So it's like slowing down and kind of bringing that intentionality and awareness back into it can be so, so helpful. And again, I mention all of these things to you guys because I went years and years and years and years doing what so many of us do. We have this like hardcore plan. I'm going to go to Christmas dinner and I'm not going to eat this and I'm not going to do this and I'm going to have one piece of bread. And it's like, it all falls apart because we don't leave any, well, everybody has a different reason, but for me, it was like, I just didn't understand like that flexibility. And I also didn't understand that I would be still, even with that plan, I would still be so tempted and have that buzzing in my brain to go for more. And that's completely normal. So now that I know that that's going to happen, that's going to come up, I'm going to be feeling like I should be able to have all of those things, and I can, but I get to choose if I want them or not. So now that I've been kind of in both places and have been able to implement some of these practices and habits and strategies, it's like literally life changing, which is why I really want to share it with all of you guys and help you kind of put this into place in your own life. And so you can really enjoy your holidays and your vacations and anything that you're experiencing and feeling maybe a little bit more out of control than you would like to, a little bit more bloated, or like you gained weight, maybe you didn't even gain weight after the holidays. And it's like, but I don't really have to feel that way, and I can still enjoy food and drinks, because you absolutely can. So that's what I want to help you guys with this challenge, with this video, hopefully a little bit. Link is below to join the challenge. Like I mentioned, it's November 29th to December 3rd. It's going to be totally do it your own pace and on your own time. There's going to be short videos and just short like written lessons, and then also somewhere where you can actually apply it in your own life and start to put these pieces into place to then carry them through into the new year. So you're really just honing in and focusing in versus starting over. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, because I totally forgot, is even when it comes to the holidays and when you're eating, this is a big thing that I started doing a couple of years ago, right after that holiday that I mentioned, and now still do it, is when you're looking at this big kind of buffet table, incorporating some of the healthier foods in with the ones that are non-nutrient dense, that are doing our bodies no benefit. So I even do this literally when we order pizza. I'll have a small salad with it. I will literally microwave a bag of broccoli at my sister's house, and everybody will be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, because I want to have something that has like nutrient density to it with my pizza. I want to have some actual food with my non-food. And that's something that I definitely practice at like the holiday dinners as well. Like I try to always have something green and a salad with everything else. So it's really a combination. I'm still working on getting like my protein, my fiber, all of the nutrients that I want out of a meal, and not just the stuff that is really not doing anything for my body. Because chances are, if you're just having, processed flours and processed sugars, not only are you going to feel like garbage, but you're also going to be skyrocketing your blood sugar because you're not bringing in anything that is going to slow that down and absorb it, which is where the fiber and the protein comes in. So another reason why I do that as well. And I also overall just feel better. So I hope you guys found this somewhat helpful. I'm looking back to see if there's anything that I didn't point out, but I think I mostly did. And then key piece too, I've already mentioned, if at some point you don't follow through with your plan exactly as you wanted to, or maybe you do something, you overindulge a little bit, do not beat yourself up. There is no food that is as harmful as beating yourself up at the end of the day. And it's just food. It's all going to be fine. I promise you guys, I've done it all. I've literally done it all. I've experienced it all. I still do sometimes. It is going to be okay. I promise you. So just do not beat yourself up because you overate cookies or something like that. And I'm always here as a resource to help you guys out if you need it with any of those things. Because like I said, I've been through all of it. So if you guys have any questions, want to learn any more about any of this stuff, join the challenge I mentioned. You can message me at any time. I'm happy to talk. And I hope that you guys found this somewhat helpful.